again, herb lovers. So today I want to talk to you about fertilizing your little herb garden, and I want to talk to you about my thoughts and concepts around fertilizers and what I like to use, what I don't like to use, and why I make the choices that I make for my pots and for my garden. So there's lots of fertilizers that are talked about. Fertilization can be a really complicated thing, and honestly, it doesn't need to be. The easiest thing to remember, and I've talked about it previously in our videos when we were setting up the herb pot, and I'll leave the link somewhere around here for you to go and have a look at that. And also when we were talking about how to manage the herb pot and maintain it. But one of the really important things is to make sure that you keep the soil in your pot covered. I want you to think about soil like your body, and you wouldn't walk out the front door without any clothes on, and nature really does not like the soil to be left naked. And what that means is I want you to think about your little particular pot and its soil surface as a forest floor. And I've got some things here that I like to keep my pots covered with, and at the moment it's autumn. We're sitting under our grapevine and we've got a lot of leaves that are falling, so I take a lot of them when they're on the ground and I just crush them up and I just pop them into the top of our pot so that the surface of the soil is covered. And you can do that in the little tiny spaces and around the top. So that's the first thing. If we keep our soil covered, then what happens is whatever it is that we cover it with gets wet. It will basically disappear into the soil. And that's because all the microbes that are building up inside of your pot are just digesting the material that sits on top, just like happens out in an actual forest floor. So when it comes to fertilizing a little pot like this, what I like to use is compost. And we're going to talk about different ways that you can make compost in another video. But you can actually basically do trenching compost in the top of your little pot, which means you take some of the things that I've got here, like my hair, some old nasty looking little pieces of fruit, and we dig away in our top layer of mulch, and we just drop these under the mulch and we cover them up again. And what will happen is they will just rot away, and they're feeding the soil. It's just the easiest way of composting, cutting out the middleman. One of my favourites are banana skins. They're full of potassium, which means that if you've got anything that's fruiting in here, which we really haven't, but still it's really good for our plants in here, take off the old labels, because the fruit labels drive me nuts. And you can chop up your banana skin if you like, or you can just break it up into lots of little pieces, and again pop it in the top of your pot and cover with your mulch. You can take tiny pieces, pop them in here, and I can promise you, if you do this and you come back in a couple of days, these will have all gone. They'll have dried up. You know, you might see a few little bits of black still lying around. These things are just going to disappear into your pot, and they're going to be the very best kind of fertilizer that you can give these plants, because they're completely 100% natural. Got any weeds around? These are dandelion leaves I've just picked. Aside from the fact that we should be eating them, they are fantastic for your plants. They're full of trace elements, and they just go in the top. So pop things in the top, let them rot, and you're doing the very best that you can for your mini herb garden. Now, people might say to me, well, Toni, what about liquid fertilizers? Liquid fertilizers are good, except the fact that, you know, they're liquid and you don't want to be overwatering everything. So you can just quite happily put these whole things in the top of your pot. They're going to rot down and they're going to feed your plants nicely. And what about fertilizers that I can buy from the garden centre, those little seeds and things? I stay away from them. I really don't like them unless I've got a specific plant that might need them. I much prefer to feed my plants in my garden with natural organic products. The thing about those synthetic fertilizers is that they're synthetic. What they do is they kind of give your plants a supercharge of food. You know, yay, we're growing, and then they're starving again. But also what they do is they don't feed the soil microbes. And really, if you want to grow good plants, you need to grow really good soil. So there are my thoughts on how and why I like to fertilize my garden and my herb planter the way that I do. What are you doing? How are you feeding your herb planter? If you've got any questions about anything I've talked about, leave a note below and we can all have a talk about it. Have you got something amazing that you use that you can see fantastic growth with your herbs? When are you feeding them? I like to feed whenever it looks like the little plants are hungry. Let me know, and I will see you again soon. Love and lettuce, and bye for now.